some 29.5, 10.5. 29.5, 10.5 is a small damn tire. Hey guys, I'm Uncle Jeff. I drive a 95 Beretta. We call it the Slow Mod. It's a fun little car, man. It's a big block nitrous setup with a Freak Show Power Glide transmission in it. And in all seriousness, man, this is how I street.
All right, Jeff. So give us a small background of yourself, where you're from, and where you currently live.
Well, originally, actually, I'm a damn Yankee. And it was kind of cool. I'm from Saginaw in Flint, Michigan, and grew up in that cold, man, and it really sucked. So I did the only thing you could do in the north, which was get the hell out of there. Came down here to Texas in '93, and I just kind of loved it, man. I stayed here. Could ride motorcycles year round, could go racing year round. There was no stop point, but that also became a bad factor because there's no actual stop, no end of the race season. There's no time to just pull your car down to nothing, touch everything, refurb it, rebuild it, put it back together. Because every single weekend, there's always a street race.
Yep. Okay, so you moved to Texas in '93. Were you racing back in Michigan, you said?
Oh, yeah, man. I used to race in Michigan. I had a 79 Monte Carlo. And, man, I thought I was King Tut with that 350 board 30 over, double camel hump heads on it, big Holly double pumper. And it was kind of interesting. We used to race Congress and State Street, which are roads that are dead. But I met Brian Chucky Davis this weekend and talked to him for a minute. And, you know, he knew all the roads that I was talking about. And I used to see those guys out there racing all the time. I was never at that level back then, but it was really cool and really inspired me. And it's a lot of the things that guided me to where I'm at right now with street racing versus playing around on racetracks.
Okay. So what was that the first car that you worked on towards street racing?
For street racing, yes, that is. Yep.
That was the Monte Carlo, you said?
79 Monte Carlo, man.
Okay. And so your first race was in Michigan, your first street race, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, man, it was crazy. It was crazy. I was racing one of my good friends. Honestly, I'll never forget this. Because Marcus had this Cutlass, and we were both in auto shop class together. We both had 350s. I mean, the combos were so similar. And I knew I could beat him. And we just laid everything out, and we went down to Congress, and we ran down Congress. Back then, you know, we were a little dumber than we are nowadays. No security, no nothing. You know, you get up to the stoplight and you wait for the stoplight to turn green. Man, when it turns green, all bets are off. You just go. And man, we did. We sent it. We sent it right past two police cars that were sitting at the donut shop.
Oh man.
So yeah, that my very first street race turned into 3 weeks of raking the courthouse lawn leaves, you know, which was actually kind of cool because nowadays, man, you'd be in all sorts of legal troubles. But back then, you know, it was that was 1991, actually, my first legitimate actual street race with that 79 Monte Carlo.
So you just had to get some community service done and get yourself out of it?
Yep. We raked the courthouse leaf. The worst part is, man, although up there in the north, in the fall, the leaves fall so hard and heavy. You start at this end, and as you rake, you get across, the leaves just fall behind you. So then you just rake back the other way. And you just keep raking back and forth, man. And that's all we did for 3 weeks. So yeah, that was fun, man. I'll never forget that race. It's with me forever in my head, and it kind of hooked me, especially the adrenaline from, man, we just got caught, pulled over. I'm in so much trouble with my dad.
Yep. How old were you at the time?
Oh man, that was 16. You know.
Okay. And after that, you kept going at it even after court and everything.
There's some things my dad doesn't need to know. He's still alive. But yeah, we actually had a friend jump in and start helping me with my car at the same time, and you know we did a lot of work on that car, got it all put together, and made it a little bit faster because I barely beat Marcus. I thought I had him by big gaps, and it was real tight, real close. So we put a lot more work into the car, and then we started going out and actually traveling around, going to Detroit area, and then running down to the bottom side of Lapeer. And there's a big scene out in Detroit and a big scene in Lapeer back in the 90s. It was insane. And I've been wanting to go back home to check it out, but every time I talk to all my friends back home, they say it's dead up there right now. There's a little bit of a scene in Detroit, but it's not like it used to be.
Okay, so you said that was around 91 and you moved to Texas in 93. You still had the Monte Carlo?
No, I didn't. I left it behind when I joined the Army, and my mom always thought something was wrong with that car because, man, it sounds so rough. It has a misfire to it. And while I was in basic training, she actually sold that car for $1,500.
Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a rough kicker, man. And I actually know the guy that has that car right now, and he still won't sell it back to me. Damn. It's a royal piece of shit right now. But I tried to buy it, and he still won't sell it, man. It's rough and sitting up there rusting to nothing.
Okay, so your mom sold the car, you're in basic training, and I'm assuming after you got out of the Army, did you get stationed here?
Yeah, I got stationed here at Fort Hood. Spent my time in the infantry. It was a lot of fun. I'll never do it again, but it was a lot of fun. And when I got out, I love the area. I love the weather, the climate. You know, this area especially has a really good economy. And being a diesel mechanic, man, there is no shortage of work here. So no matter what, man, I'm set for financially here.
Okay, and you landed directly here in Austin area?
I landed directly here. A lot of people do call it Austin area, but this is actually the real Central Texas area.
Okay.
It's Fort Hood and Killeen area, and now you're sitting in Harker Heights right now, which is just another little nipple off of Fort Hood, man.
Okay. And now you're in Texas, so I'm assuming you had to get a car at some point. What was that?
Oh, my very first car that I got to race down here was a 93 Mustang. It was a Celine clone, had the roll bar in it. It was just for looks. It was just bolted in. It wasn't welded in or anything, but being that I laid the carpet over it nice and neat, man, the guy at Tech just kind of looked at it and let me through. And I rode that car for a little while. It was a lot of fun. A little 302, you know, the alphabet cam in it. A little shot of spray on that bugger. I've kind of always been addicted to that nitrous stuff.
And you were racing at the track in that?
Yep. We track raced with that a little bit for probably about a year. Raced a little bit on the street with it, but I couldn't catch a lot of races on the street. In our area, there was 2 other cars that would race me on the street, but everybody else after the first ass whipping at the car wash, hanging down on Rancier on the car wash, and they see that car go, it's hard to catch a race after that.
How fast were you guys going at the time?
Oh my God, we were ridiculously fast, bro. We were in the 8s.
Oh man.
Yeah, man, things were so slow back then, you know what I mean? It really was. It's nothing like it is now, you know? I mean, to sit down and turn an 8 and then bust into the 7s is like ridiculous. Oh my God, you can actually do that nowadays?
Yeah. So, Saline clone, and then what did you move on to after that?
After that, I moved on to Tourette's Express, which is a 72 AMX. Everybody knows it as a Javelin. Nobody knows what the hell an AMX is. You know, all you guys are so young. That company was out of business by the time, y'all were born. So I just call it a Javelin, which is what everybody actually recognizes. And it was a fun little car, man. Started out with the stroked out 401. It was stroked to 421. And I was able to touch the 10s in that car. So it was my first taste of what I thought was really fast back then. And we did good, man. We had fun with it, but I couldn't drive it on the street as much because the damn motor kept overheating.
So you just raced it at the track?
No, we still raced it on the street. It was a lot more difficult because you could drive for about 45 minutes or so and then let it cool off and then move again and then let it cool off. It became a game of, hey, let's set the meet spots here and here. So literally I would organize my friends to meet me at different places, and they didn't realize what I was really doing is I'm giving myself places for my car to cool down. I'm like, hey, we're going to meet at the car wash first, and then we're going to go down the road to the Dairy Queen. And from the Dairy Queen, we can set up a couple races and, hit a crossover here to, I'm not going to name the road, but there's a special road that we use because it's still an active road. Okay. And, man, we go across to this road over here and catch a couple races and then park at the end and meet everybody over here down at the Chevron. And I literally was just setting places within the distance that my car would drive and not overheat.
So at this point, you're only racing in your, general surrounding area?
Yep, general surrounding area. Had my little fish bowl. Hadn't ventured out of the fish bowl. And the thing about that is you realize later on that when you race only the people around you, man, you can be number one. You can be the big dog. You can just sit there and beat on your chest all you want. Nobody can touch you. And then all of a sudden, somebody from out of town comes in and just wipes everybody out. And it opens your eyes up to things. It really does. And it does one of two things. It either makes you sit there and just duck and cuddle and go home and cuddle your cat while the out-of-towners are visiting, or you end up getting faster. Figure out what you got to do to get faster and go on with life.
Okay, so did you seriously race the Javelin, or did you move on to a different platform?
Tried that Javelin with many different power plants. I'd like to think that it was very serious. I mean, I met these guys, this dude named Limpy and Chris Calbrisi. We're having a race in our area. And man, I was sitting there talking to this short guy named Chris for a little while. My first impression was like, man, this dude's such an asshole. But he's cool at the same time. I didn't know how that it was really weird, man. He has this really weird personality that strikes in, and he can be a real ass while he's being cool. Yeah. So I was it threw me off a bit. And they're setting up an actual race, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna go down and street race with these guys, and we're just gonna blow everybody out of the water and have fun. Because I got I had a 540 with a 1071 blower on E85. So, Mr. King Kong with all his 1,000 horsepower in a 3,300 pound car.
Yeah.
It was okay, but I learned big time that weekend, man, and it really opened my eyes to other possibilities, different levels of street racing that I just wasn't aware of.
And that was still local, right?
And that was local for me. Everybody came here, I could talk about that spot because it's definitely a dead spot, man. It was at the concrete plant out there in Temple, man. Oh. And it is definitely dead. You can't even get in for a single test hit without getting swarmed. They grew up and built around it, and they got security at the entrance of the road where you come in. There's a little security gate sitting right there. The minute they see you pulling in, they're just on the phone calling. But yeah, that was my first real experience with an honest to God cash days and some honest to God real dedicated street racers. There's a big difference between the hobbyist, which at that time I didn't realize I was just a hobbyist, and these guys that I met. That night I met this guy named James Marinas in Street Beast, and man, the first guy out of Dallas, I got him. I'm sitting there thinking, man, this is simple. These guys are just like me. And then that next round with James Marinas and that Street Beast, Dude, when Limpy banged the light and I let go of the button, I looked over and he was already gone. I had to look forward to see where he was at. Yeah, that was crazy.
So, second round, you got it handed to you?
Yes, it was handed to me big time. Yeah, big time. That dude, he was, man, I still talk to him to this day, man. He races on the list in Austin with us.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, your eyes are opened up to what people are really taking this to, and you're still in the Javelin. Where did things go after your first official cash days?
After my very first official cash days, the things went to the fucking plasma cutter and the welder. And we just cut the whole back of that car up and rearranged where the ladder bars were, got everything lined up. Went and put ourselves on some Hoosier DO6s, some 29.5-10.5. 29.5-10.5 is a small damn tire. For all y'all that say 28s is the only small tire, you have to remember, size is relevant. If your wee-wee's this big and your wee-wee's this big, hey, whoever holds that wee-wee says mine is big. You know what I'm saying? Size is relevant. So we threw a small tire on there of 29.5-10.5 and got the suspension adjusted and went back out, and man, we did better. And still these guys, man, they just handed me my ass. So looking at what everybody else is doing out there, and just kept going back and just kept cutting the car up and kept getting everything lined up and just kept working on the car and fixing the chassis, because I realized it wasn't in the motor, you know? Most people, they get so stuck on, oh, I got this motor, I got all this power. Man, it's your suspension. It's your chassis. That's where all of it's at. I started looking at that, and that's why that guy, James Marinus, that's why he handed me my ass so bad, is because he had his chassis dialed in, and every single little piece of power his car made went to the ground. So I started looking and seeing what everybody else was doing and how they were doing it, and everybody was so friendly with talking to me that it was really actually easy to get into the rest of this, you know? A lot of people, they still do talk about different things and talk about what they're doing with their program. That's why when people come up to me with questions, I don't feed them no bullshit, other than the size of my motor. I feed you a bunch of bullshit about that. But other than the size of my motor, I mean, I'll answer everybody's questions about anything, because everybody helped me get where I'm at, you know? And if we don't help each other, how am I gonna get any faster if I don't talk to a guy that, not at the same level as me, but he might say something that just clicks in me about, man, I gotta try that direction. Because I've done some crazy different things in testing that I heard somebody say that whose car will never, not even be competitive with where I'm at that time. And I do the change with the direction he was going, and it worked, you know? Yeah. So the more we as a street racing community, the more we actually work together on different things, the faster we'll all become.
Yeah, and keep it going for the next generation.
Oh, most definitely, man. I mean, I'm seeing like the big tire racing. It's hard to catch a big tire race. That's why Slow Mod is a dual purpose car. Small tire and big tire. 29.5-10.5 small tire. But that way I can actually catch races because I can be on both tires.
Yeah. Now, did you start traveling at any point in the Javelin?
Yes, we did. We went around, kind of got into that whole TV thing for a minute, watching these guys, very starstruck. And Farm Truckin' Asian was doing a different tour called Farmageddon, and we latched in and went to a couple different places that they were doing that, and there was always a party afterwards. So as long as you did good, you know, at the top end or at the racetrack where they were at, you know, you could catch an invite, you know, to the party afterwards. So we traveled around a bit, and we found out that as much as we thought we were doing really, really good, it was still way levels behind everything. And that's what stymied the change into the next car.
Which is?
The slow mod. It's not a pro mod, it's a slow mod.
So it's a very interesting car for sure. It's different. Why don't you tell us how you came across it?
Man, hunting for a car. First thing you do is you consult your family, okay? Because they're the one eating ramen noodles for a week with you. You know, a month, a year, 2 years. So you have to find out, you know, the level of commitment that everybody else has around you to your support. So I talked to them and everybody's like, well, you know, we'll stomach this down and get through this and figure things out. My daughter actually found the slow mod in her own searches. You know, she's sitting there on Racing Junk. She's like, Daddy, this car's pretty. It's red. It's got checkers on it. And I looked at it and I'm like, man, that's an ex-pro stock car. So everything's in the stock location. Nobody can argue with me about anything. That's the first thought that went through my head. I called the guy and I talked to him. He's a 74-year-old man. And the shell was his son's car that he drove all through high school and into college until he left. And when his son left, he stripped it down and built a race car out of it with a mild steel tube chassis kit. One of those little Alston tube chassis kits. Mm-hmm. He sat down there and welded it all together himself, put it out. I showed up to go check this car out. I drove to Kentucky to check it out. He had his shoes, his jacket, his helmet, and the snacks. The flipping snacks from the weekend before, all sitting in this trailer. And I mean, tools, generator, everything. Just hook it up to my truck and go for 24 grand. I couldn't pass it up, man. I grabbed it. It was a great deal. I mean, how can you argue about a trailer that comes with snacks? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was a turnkey car at the time?
It was turnkey. It was not set up for the street. So I took it to the street and we struggled for a little bit trying to figure out what all changes we actually had to make. We got here, took it here to the shop and actually cut the whole back of the car apart and redid the cage in the back. And here's a little secret that's not so secret because I actually talk about it. A lot of the tubing in the back we capped off and then melted lead inside it so that we could get the weight bias right on the car, because that big block up front, man, it's kind of heavy, you know? Yeah. It's really heavy and my weight bias was off. So I figured a couple extra pounds on the car and the street's not going to hurt anyways. So we're sitting pretty fat, man, you know? We're 2875, actual numbers, 2875 right now on the scale. That's ready to go.
Race weight with you in it?
Race weight, me in it.
Okay. So, did you race before cutting up the car?
Yes, yes. We took the car out as it sat and it ran, man, it ran amazing. It was a good little car at the racetrack. It was a lot of fun. Took it on the street and man, it was a pedal fest. You know, because the weights were off. It was 65 front. That's not going to get you anywhere. Yeah. You know, especially with the suspension not being able to react how it's supposed to. It was set up just to try to keep the front end down and go down that flypaper surface.
And it was a big block when you bought it, right?
Yep, it was a big block. I actually still have the original motor that was in it, and that motor is the only motor I've ever had that's never been hurt. I'm kind of rough on those things, man.
Yeah.
You know, I push them to their limit every single time. I mean, there's guys that they'll go out there and they'll run a 580 all day long and just be happy with it. I'm not happy with that. You know, I gotta push. I gotta find out where the limits of my stuff's at, and then figure out how to go faster. And that's what we've been doing each time. And I don't know how anybody can be happy just being stagnant at a 580 and only racing their people in their own backyard. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. And around what year was it that you bought the slow mo?
Oh my goodness, bro! I think it was only a year and a half ago.
Oh, okay. So this is fairly recent. So you were
really
racing
fresh.
the Javelin up until then?
Yeah. I've had that Javelin for a very long time, and it's went through many motor changes and many configurations.
And you still own it?
I still do. Yep, she's going to be back out. You're actually going to be filming it here in a couple months, bro.
All right, man. Can't wait.
Yeah, because I'm putting it back together to do the no trailer stuff.
Oh, nice.
You know, she'll be pretty quick. Not going to be the end all be all. You know, it'll just be a 598 on 1071 blower with E85 and 2 little plate kits of nitrous, you know. It'll be all right, but it's not gonna be the end all. It's my, they make fun of me for this, but man, in all seriousness, I keep that car together. That is my daily driver. When that car is running, I will jump in that thing and take that thing anywhere. I love that damn car.
Okay, so back to the slow mod. At what point did you get to where you're actually, you know, going a few rounds, or what you know, what changes did you make that got you to that?
The change I made was put it on the hoist in the shop and just cut the whole back end apart, and literally just change the chassis, stiffen the chassis up, and fix where the bar placement, because he had bars that were in there and it was good for the time, but as you know, technology changes. We figure out better ways of doing things, and we changed the angles of the bars and where they were located, and then I added a lot of lead to the different areas to bring the bias, the weight bias, to the rear. And she's really good weight bias right now, man.
Yeah. So the first time I saw you was last year. Oh, that was when we met at Baddest on the Planet, small tire race.
She was already in her 3rd configuration of how I had it.
Okay.
I'd already made changes 3 times now.
And that race, you went really fast. You went some rounds. The car was actually red too at the time.
Yes, sir. Still had the snorkel.
Yeah.
No windows.
Yeah, no windows either. I had a windshield, I think, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, I was taking the car to the wrap shop, and as we were headed to the wrap shop, windows out, everything there, dropped it off, I got a phone call. Hey man, we're gonna do a race this weekend. And I'm like, well, that's pretty cool, man, but I'm gonna get my car wrapped. And I'll call you right back. I went into the wrap shop, dropped the car off, we moved it into the bay, got it all set up for the wrap, and then got back in the truck to head home, and I called, this is Dan Lee that I was talking to. I called Dan Lee back and I said, hey man, tell me about this race. I'm gonna miss it, but I might come and help, and if you need some help, get something. He says, no man, you have to race this. This is the baddest on the planet, and we got people coming from all over, and he listed some of the names that were coming. Well, those are some of the people that I wanna race, because I wanna see where I stack up, so I can see what I have to do to go faster. You know what I mean? If I know where they're at, I know where I need to be. So I called the wrap shop up, who was closing at the time. I'm like, hey man, I'm like fucking 10 minutes away. I'm picking my car right back up. I'll bring it back on Monday. I swear, I'll bring my car back on Monday. So I spin around and I go grab the car out of the wrap shop and drive it straight here to my shop and throw fuel in the bugger, get the nitrous bottles loaded up, get everything in the trailer, and I was gonna put the windows back in and did not have enough time. I was like, all right, let's just throw a windshield on for safety. So we clipped the windshield back in with the rivets, man, and we went racing. And I found out where I stacked up.
Yeah, because there were some big names in that race.
Bro.
You had Beater Bomb, Casey Max, Boosted GT, Brent Self.
Yes, sir.
I think Nate was there, or was he?
Yes, Nate was there as well. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of big names. It was my first time ever meeting Callie Nate, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It was right there. And yeah, he didn't give me too much time of the day when I first introduced myself. I was just another nobody, you know. And yeah, it was really cool getting to meet everybody. I raced Beater Bomb that night.
Yeah.
And that's who I wanted to race. No matter what, I wanted to race Beater Bomb or Boosted that night. And I didn't get a chance to race Boosted because he had just knocked Brent Self out. And he got paired up, but I got Beater Bomb. And I'm like, all right, here we go. This is where we're at. Let's see where we're at. Where do we stack up? So I loaded my, it's almost not gonna make it home tune. And he got me. But
Not by much.
no. Well, no. Let's be honest about this, okay? Because this is one of my things. Like I talk to Heath all the time, the big end guy. I say, Heath, can you send me the video? But you lost. I said, that's cool, bro. send me the video, please. And he sends me the video, and I take a screenshot of where I'm at with that person, and that way I can figure out in that snapshot in time what I got to do. So that brought up the next question I had that I actually put on a public forum, and that's why Joey started making fun of me for that next week, is because I said, asking for a friend. If the butt hurt bar is not cleared, is that still considered a gap?
Yeah.
Because I was right there hanging off the end of his bar.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a sketchy race. It was good. It was on point, man. Oh my God. I found out where I was at, and I was very happy with my progress at that time.
Yeah, because you were doing really good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But he put me out and sent me home, but he didn't realize he sent me home to go do my homework. You know, and that's all I'm doing is just every time I race somebody, I'm doing my homework for the next one.
Yeah, and from there, you know, I've seen you go to various finals now, and you even won a bunch of races.
Yes, sir.
So you've definitely progressed a bunch. You think that race itself helped you with that?
That race itself actually gave me the boost in confidence and morale for where I needed to go with things. That honest to God, that one race was a very, very pivotal point for me in my street racing career. I don't even like going to the tracks at all anymore. Everybody's like, hey, come to the track, we're doing this. And I'm like, that's cool, man. Are you gonna have a party afterwards?
Yeah.
You know? Because I'll go if there's going to be a party afterwards. I don't even want to track race at all anymore. It's not as challenging. It's not as much fun. And the people at the racetracks, I mean, most of the time there's a lot of us street crew mixed in, but the people at the racetracks, they're not the same cloth, man. They don't have the same mentality about helping each other out and wanting to see everybody else do good, you know?
Yeah. What was your favorite street race till this day?
Ooh. Golly. My favorite street race to this day is ATX Trash Days. Okay? They don't call them cash days. They call them trash days. Cash Days, Limpy's deal. The ATX crew, they are my favorite all-time to race with. Okay? I love racing with DFWSS. You know, they're my second favorite, and like I tell everybody, those are my two families, okay? Austin is my birth family, and Dallas, that's my step family. So mom and dad, they kind of fight sometimes. But my favorite race to date right now is the New Year's Day Trash Days. And went out, there was some very big names there. It was one of the largest flipping races, street races that I've been to. And it was wild, man. You had Kevin Kennington down there with his big ass Camaro, you know, and I'm so glad the brother's okay. He got loose and the car went over the curb. It caught air. It was like about 5 foot of air underneath his car going down this embankment. Yeah. And had 2 other people hit the curbs that day. Watched Boosted GT lay some bad passes, you know. Had Rank out there. Oh man, the people there it was intense.
Yeah, that was one for the books.
It was very intense. And I ended up in the finals with my teammate, Steve Tyler, in the Kraken. And we looked at each other kind of like, well, let's save our cars, man. My car's in one piece. Let's save our cars, let's split it and go home. And then they brought out a trophy. The thing about this is you can split money, but how do you split custody of a trophy?
Cut in half.
No, bro, it was too cool.
Just kidding.
It was way too cool. So we ended up going back, and Limpy told me he was pretty upset that we weren't going to race finals. And then he was in his car getting ready to leave, and he's like, oh my God, they're firing their cars up, we're going to race? Yeah, because there was a trophy, you know?
Yeah.
So I went to the car, we just spun them around and made one quick change on the car that I shouldn't have made because I turned it up quite a bit off the 60 foot and she just hung them wheels for 150 foot, man. I mean, I let go of the button in the finals against Steve and I went up while he went forward, and when the front end came down, we stayed there the whole damn way. That's my favorite race, man.
Yeah.
That's also the very first time Steve has ever beat me. That was his first win against me. When we got done racing, he was so happy. He was like, man, he's like, bro, I needed that. And I was looked at him, I was like, man, I needed it too, but I needed to win.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my favorite race, man. The ATX Trash Days New Year race, man.
The coldest trash day.
It was cold.
That was,
That was one of our worst experiences.
yeah, none of us came prepared.
We did not come prepared.
Bro,
Prepared.
we had a heater in the trailer, man. I told everybody, come in the trailer if you get too cold.
Yeah, but I can't film out of the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun one for sure. Okay, so what's your most memorable win?
There is a car down in EMP, and the guy doesn't know me, and he doesn't care about me. And it was one of these things where he just has this badass car. It's a Nova, and it was built to look just like Murder Nova's car. It's a big tire car. It was a 600 plus cubic inch, and I was in Tourette's Express at the time, my Javelin. Farm truck was flagging. It was for a Farmageddon race, and I loaded that sumbitch for bear, bro. Like, I went beyond the is it gonna make it home tune. I went to the it ain't gonna make it home, just live with the consequences tune.
Bring the trailer.
Yep. The cool thing is, when I drive Tourette's around, if I go to a race, I usually take it on my tow truck, so I'm already prepared. And farm truck turned around, man, that light hit, I let go of the button, and in the famous words of everybody you see on TV, I never saw him after I let go of the button.
Oh man.
Very next day, I have a screenshot of this. Very next day, car was up for sale. Forever my favorite race. Ever after that. I have screenshots of that. I'll send that to you if you want, man. It's just the fact that this guy that I've watched run really hard and heavy and really fast, and I just at the top end race, farm truck flagging, lets go of the button, and I never saw him again. And it's up for sale the next day.
Yeah.
How can that not be your favorite race?
You made him sell it, man.
Yeah.
So, do you have a loss that's maybe very memorable?
Culmination of losses to the same person. Okay? Going back to the first time I ever met Callie Nate. Okay? My culmination of losses with Callie Nate has drove me in different directions. Not to be against him or anything. In all seriousness, I've befriended him. I don't know to what level on his end, but you know, I like the guy now. Like, severely, like, he's pretty cool. The culmination of losses that I had against him drove me different ways to change my car and get faster until I beat him in the Z unit.
Yeah, that was the second time we saw you in DFW.
My second most memorable win, because here's the guy that took me out multiple times, and he's fast, and there's nobody that can say that Callie Nate is not fast. Not one person can't say that he's not fast. And I had everything lined out, did my homework for that week, and I had the car, and I'm like itching. I wanted to call him out, but at the same point in time, that's the worst thing to do for one of those big races, is to call somebody out. And it fell in my favor where I got to racing. And we went, and he was right there with me. You know, he was behind me, but he was right there with me. The roles were reversed finally. So, culmination of losses. My favorite, most memorable, and most educational have all been handed to me by Callie Nate.
Yeah, it's what pushes you, kind of like the beater bomb race, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But the fact that it was only once with him, and I hadn't had a chance or the opportunity since then, you know what I mean? It just makes it where I had one educational experience.
Yeah.
You know, racing Nate multiple different times and then talking to him afterwards about different stuff. I mean, dude, he'll help you go fast.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah. He's actually more chill than people realize.
Yeah. Okay, so what's all going through your mind when you're pulling up to the line?
Don't jump, don't jump, don't jump.
That's it.
That's it. Don't jump, don't jump, don't jump. Everything else comes automatic. The minute I let go of the button, man, I'm so calm. The minute I let go of the button, I have this adrenaline rush. I've tried skydiving, you know. In the beginning when you skydive, you have to tandem jump, you strap yourself to another dude. I did airborne in the military. That's fun, but it's only 1,200 feet, and it's so fast, it's over with. Because they're just trying to get you to the earth before somebody shoots you. So you do civilian skydiving and you just fall. But it's peaceful. There's no adrenaline. I let go of that button, oh my God. Every time I let go of that button, especially in the slow mod, man, it's that adrenaline comes through and I feel so peaceful and I have an adrenaline rush and I get to feel and see everything around me, and there's so much energy and so much power, and it's not some sucker, some chump in the next lane. There's somebody in the next lane, and that just don't jump, don't jump, don't jump, and then everything's cool.
Yeah, and I've seen you drive the shit out of that car too. Like at the first time we saw you, that shutdown sketchy over in I don't know. I guess maybe we could keep the name of the spot under
name
wraps,
down, because that's
you
a
know
good
what
spot.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was my first time ever down that road, and I just sent it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I got to get past this guy. You know, this guy's fast. This is gonna be fun. Sitting there, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump. There's the light, adrenaline, and then calm with adrenaline, man. That's
Crazy shutdown.
And then I got to the end, it was like, whoop, whoop, whoop. It's like, oh boy. Looked behind me and I saw the guy was so far behind, I just took one bounce and I waited until the bounce hit to the middle of the road. Next bounce hit the middle of the road, drop the chute. So that it just brings the car around, okay? Which, I'm sorry about ad-libbing a little bit on this part, but I don't care how fast your car is. If you're gonna street race, have a fucking parachute on it. Okay, it's safety, man. If you drop the parachute in the middle of the road, it'll bring your car to the middle of the road. Okay, if you're not smart with your parachute and you drop your parachute on the curb, you're going to the curb. But put that bugger in the middle of the road, man, for safety. You know, every time I get crazy, you know, that parachute. People have asked me, man, what's my number one love in life? My number one love in life is dropping that chute. Because when I drop that chute, it's like, oh, thank you. It bails me out of whatever stupidity I just put myself in.
So do you have any pre-race rituals?
I do. I actually have a very severe pre-race ritual. And that is to cuss and fuss and walk around everywhere, just doing nothing but getting my Tourette's out.
Okay.
I get everything ready. I go through my checklist. I actually have a job board, and I go through my checklist, my pre-race checklist, and I cuss twice for every single task. Okay? It's just something that happens because, you know, I spent 6.5 years in the infantry. And sometimes you just have to add a little bit of flavor to your words.
Make them interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any advice that you would give to somebody that's just getting into this?
Yes. Yes, I definitely do. My number one piece of advice to people that are getting into it is don't just go buy a car. If you have a car, don't just take it straight to the races. Actually go attach yourself to a successful car for a while. You know, crew with them. Get out, lay pimp juice, help with the burnout. Do whatever maintenance after the race, before the race. That's where most people, they don't have crews, you know? I've been very blessed with the people that I have, with my crew chief. when I'm working on my car, man, they show up and we work on the car. And from there, they know exactly what they need to do to be successful with their own car. So my number one piece of advice is attach yourself to a successful car and just help out until you got yourself figured out what you need to do to go fast yourself.
Yeah. So basically, learn the ropes before you get yourself into a car.
Yes, sir. Too many people buy a car, man, and it didn't end well. You know?
Now, how do you manage your work life and life in general, as well as, you know, racing every weekend, working on the car, getting it ready for everything?
You know, I don't think there's ever a good answer to how do you manage that. I just do it, you know? I'm just driven to be able to go street racing every damn weekend. I run the shop, and then Wednesday, Fridays, and Sundays I teach judo and aikido, and that runs way late into the evenings, which doesn't give me much time to work on the car and get things down, which is why I really appreciate the help and support of my crew.
Okay, and so obviously we know you run the shop to keep the addiction going. That's what pays for it, right?
Every time everybody's like, how does Top Frog support you? You own the shop. And it's like, bro, this is its own entity, man. You know, Top Frog is the beast that provides me what I need for my addiction, which is street racing.
Yep. Okay. And then, so we already went pretty, I mean, we can't do an in-depth setup of the car because you don't want to tell us the cubic inch.
Okay, I'll tell you the cubic inch because I'm not going with that motor again.
Okay.
Okay, I'm making platform changes right now. I'm making platform changes because I owed Nate 405, I owed him, and I put the 2 kitchen sink tune in that thing. And well, that motor's done.
Yeah, we saw.
Yeah, that the setup was a 11 degree 632 on 2 kits. It's just your basic bare bones 632. It's not mystical, it's not magical. Everybody's like, man, that's like 800 inch. It's a huge mountain motor. It's this, it's that. And I don't want to stop people with their rumors, man. You know? Run your rumors, do your thing, make everybody jump, you know?
Yeah.
I went to a race where I never lost the race, but I never won. I didn't have a winning pass. 3 jumps, a bye draw, straight into the freaking finals. Are you kidding me? Some rumors, you just don't want to stop them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a fun little motor, man. It was 15-to-1 compression, flat top relief cut pistons, and ever since it got hurt the first time, it was never the same, because with COVID hit and everything else, I wasn't able to get the right pistons for it. They still haven't made. They're still on back order. I've had pistons on order for to have them cut for over a year and a half now, with an expected ship date in 3 weeks. Now that I'm going to make a platform change.
Yeah. And the car's on a Power Glide?
The car's on a Freak Show Power Glide with a Freak Show transmission, torque converter, and dump valves.
Okay.
And the dump valves are pretty cool. They really are when you go to those crazy nasty surfaces. I'm still learning them, but I've already found the benefit to them.
And rear end?
Rear end's just a basic 9-inch, and it's nothing special, man. It's braced out. I cut a couple more braces and welded a couple more braces on it because when I got the car, it was built way back when, and it wasn't going to handle what we're doing right now. But a couple braces on that bugger, man, and it's holding up pretty good so far.
Hell yeah. All right, so before I do the last part, I missed one question, and that was what actually got you into racing?
Oh, man. A lot of people have really crazy answers. Mine's pretty simple. There's not much that excites me. There's not much where you get a large adrenaline rush. Every single time I race, man, I have that adrenaline rush. Every single time. You know, it's not the same at the track because everything's consistent, everything's the same, there's no questions. When you street race, you don't know what's gonna happen. And it's that little question that hits on that, man, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know how this is gonna go. All I know is I'm gonna sit there with my thumb on the trans brake saying, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump. And then nothing from that point forward is given. It's just what you do and how you live your life if you're gonna make it to the end.
So lastly, do you have sponsors or anybody that you would like to thank?
First off, my family for putting up with me. I'm not talking about just in racing, I'm talking about in general. I can be a real handful, bro. Some people aren't used to the character that I am 24/7. What you see is what you get. I don't change myself for anybody. So I'd like to thank them first and foremost. Second is Top Frog, because Top Frog Diesel does fund this addiction. Freak Show, Mike Reeves over at Freak Show Transmissions. He's the only one that's been able to keep a transmission together for me. You know, I tear everything else up. And then after that is my two street racing families, man. The 512 ATX crew and DFWSS with Dan Lee. I mean, without those people helping me and supporting me, there is no fun, there is no excitement. So thanks to everybody out there. And then, in all seriousness, thanks to people like you that put this out, that give us the ability to reflect on things after it happened. I can't video as good or anywhere near the caliber that you guys do and have that as a memory safe, or have that for somebody else to see to get them into the support.
Yep. Well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for doing this. Because we wouldn't have nothing to film if it weren't for gangster motherfuckers like you.
Ah, man, it ain't nothing but a thing, brother.
All right, that's going to be it, I think.
Cool.
Yo, what up, guys? So this is How I Street, episode 3 with Uncle Jeff, man. Make sure if you're in the Austin area, hit up Top Frog Diesel if you need any diesel work done. That's Jeff's shop, and like he said, that's how he keeps the addiction going. Thank you to everybody that helped me film this, Javi, Eddie, and Sabino, as well as Chris Calabrese over at KFC or Bust YouTube channel. He's the one that sent me all the videos of the AMX and all of Jeff's older videos. You know, when the Beretta was red and it had the giant snorkel on it. Now, for those of you guys waiting for 505 Cash Days video, I should have that up next week. Just be patient with me. I got a ton of videos to go through, and you know, I didn't want to skip over this one and then not end up posting it for a long time. I filmed this right after the Big Tire Cash Days. But yeah, don't forget to check us out on all our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. Check out the website, dspstreetracing.com. I got some new stickers up. All of them are available for order. I know some say they're on back order, and that's because I just haven't got them in yet. So I'll have a full stock probably by Friday and ready to ship on Monday. But yeah, I'll let Jeff sign us out for this one.
Thank you all for watching. Sell a livin'.